Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am so blessed and honored to be here with my friend, Heather Jamison, Vice President of Customer Success at Global LT. What's up, Heather? How's it going?
Hey, Ben, how are you?
I am awesome. I'm doing great. I'm in the D. Are you in the D right now?
I am in the D. The sun is shining, so pretty happy here in Michigan. We don't see sun all the time in
I was going
January.
to say the sun is shining in the D. It's like always sunny in Detroit. It's like never sunny here, especially in the winter, which is like 6 months long here. But yeah, we just got some snow last night too. Or was it last night or 2 nights ago? We got some snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The days are, I don't know about you, but the days are running together. Like I don't leave my house. Like
I was saying today was very exciting for me. I came into the office. I don't ever get to leave the house. I work at home all the time now. So exciting to get out, and it was sunny. I got to go to Starbucks and get a coffee. It was great.
I know you feel so fancy, right? You get your little Starbucks and everything. I know what you're talking about there. Okay. This is awesome. Hey, everybody, if you're watching right now, go ahead and leave something in the comments there. Give a little shout out, shout yourself out, shout out Heather. Let me know who you are, where you are, what you're up to. Give your company a little shout. Let's see what's going on here. Tim Quirk, hello, Heather and Ben from sunny and snowy Western New York. What up, Timmy? Stacy Huff, who makes it happen. Hi, Ben and Heather. What's up, Stacy? Look at this. Alexander acting. Go, Heather. Go, Heather. Okay. All right, it's a party up in here. Let's see here. We got LinkedIn user Heather. Hey, both. What's up, both? Let's see here. Ryan Kaifas. Hi, Ben and Heather. You know this guy, right?
I know him very well. Yes. This is our president over here at Global LT, but he's like so much fun to work with. He's so funny. We have a lot of fun at work.
Yeah, he seems like a cool dude. We've connected a couple times, Ryan and I have. And actually, I owe you a phone call, Ryan. We haven't talked in like forever. So hope you're doing well, buddy. Rachel, high five from the D. What up, Rachel? Boom. All right. If I do that too much, my camera's going to almost focus. Catherine Williams, hey, Ben. Great guest appearance by Heather.
Hey, Katie.
All right. Look at this. Danielle Goddard, hi, Heather. Looking forward to this session. Look at that. I'll tell you what, expectations are a source of great disappointment. Danielle, okay. Jack and Marmonstein, go, Heather. Go, Heather.
So Jack is our new CLO. He's our Chief Learning Officer that we hired not too long ago, and he's like a genius. He's like, and it's funny because he even looks like Einstein. Like, so when you talk to him, like he's like
I'm looking at his little face.
Yeah, he is.
Little face, Jack.
Conversations with him are awesome. Like the things that come out of his mouth, phenomenal.
Let's talk about the things that come out of Jack's mouth. So what does the CLO at Global LT do? What is the Chief Learning? The CLO, do you call him the CLO? What up,
the CLO, Chief Learning Officer. He is really working at empowering our teacher network and how we teach language. I mean, one of our most valuable assets is our trainers and instructors. And one thing he has like 5 patents from Rosetta Stone. He's a freaking genius when it comes to language and online learning. And so he's really working to empower our network, empower our content and how we deliver language. So it's exciting.
That's awesome. I want to learn more about how you guys do what you do. I mean, you talk about your teachers and everything, and this is really, really interesting. Let's see who else is checking in with us before we hop into that. Also, leave your questions for Heather if you got questions about language or Relo or the D or whatever you think Heather wants to talk about. You just leave it right here. Hi, Ben. Hi, Heather Deluxe checking in. We love Global LT.
Hi.
That's nice. Look at that. Kevin. Hi, guys. Hi, Heather. Hope you are well.
I know. I haven't talked to Kevin in forever. Without having the DRC events, I haven't seen some of these people in so long.
Yeah, and now you're on the board of the DRC. Is that right?
Yeah, going on my 2nd year. I'm the secretary on the board, and I've obviously been a member for years, but it's a lot of fun. And we have a lot of good people on the board. You know, Ben. You know.
Yeah, I know. These are just, sometimes you ask questions, you know the answer to them. It's a little interview technique, Yeah, no, DRC board is what's up. Jessica Miller, so proud that Heather is representing Global LT today. What's up, Jessica? Thanks for checking in. Jason Rollins. Hi, Heather and Ben, Express Corporate Housing, checking in from snowy Foxborough. Jason, is Tom Brady going to win a Super Bowl for the Bucs? Let me know. Throw it in there, TB12. Heidi representing the D. Happy to see Heather on the show. this. Everybody from Detroit is coming out. Timothy Nowak, hi, Ben and Heather. Greetings from sunny Denver. Ben, I miss your basement fireplace background. Tim, it's over there. I'm toying with some new treatments here, some new set design here. This is called Pooh Brown, okay? This is my new set right here. Let me know what you think about it. I could probably do better. Ryan, looking forward to it. Steven, what's up, driver? Steve, the household goods driver. Tomorrow, we've got a great household goods voice. Fred Metzler is going to be here, so tune in for that. Eric Masadi, hi, Ben and Heather. I'll take a JMO on the rocks. Do you get that a lot, Heather? JMO references?
Yes. I drink Grey Goose, though, not Jamison. Sorry.
Vodka girl. That's cool. That's smart, probably. Jack Jampel. What's up, Jack? Love to hear your questions about language. Jack, I want to know how language fits into your program. If at all, let me know. Jack's always keeping it real. Adriana Costa, yay, awesome talk. This is great. Let's see. Maybe he needs to get my Spanish on track. How many languages do y'all teach?
We have taught over 80 languages in 120 different countries. So like all over. And it's funny because when I first came on, obviously I knew we taught languages, global teaching language, but literally as I learned what we did and how we did it from A to Z, like our last language Z is Zulu. We teach Zulu in Africa on a regular basis, believe it or not. I was like, Zulu's an actual language? I had no idea until I was here.
It's Nigeria, right? Are the Zulu people from Nigeria? I want to say the Yoruba, the Zulu. I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's actually a common request. So yes, we have taught over 80 languages.
That's incredible. That's fantastic. I'd love to know if you're watching this right now, if you're with an RMC or you're with a corporate program or whatever. I'd love to know if you offer language training, how you employ it, what you see from a policy standpoint. Please throw that in there and we'll riff on that for sure. People giving Heather some shout outs. Alan King coming to us from Germany. What's up, Alan? I'm sure you teach German, right? So no, I had a question. I was talking to my buddy last night from Goldman Sachs, right? And just walk with me on this for a second. I promise we're going to get into some global mobility stuff, right? But it was really interesting because we were talking and we were having a few, not JMOs, but you know. And I was like, Ryan, I was like, why couldn't I be a successful investment banker right now? You know, why couldn't I go work at Goldman Sachs and bring home ungodly sums of money? And he's like, you know, Ben, I see the biggest hurdle being you couldn't like come in and like kind of talk the talk and the jargon and all that kind of stuff. Like you don't have the lexicon for it. And I'm like, okay, no, I could see that because that's one of the things I do well in like currently, like as I kind of can talk with a lot of people. But if I went into investment banking, I would know, you know, bips from nothing, right? But I want to run something by you, okay? All right, just imagine this for just a moment. Yeah, obviously we're teaching languages, right? Like real languages. But is there a market for teaching people like industry specific jargon?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because it all comes down to communication, right? And we feel like we help support communication, whether it's a culture difference, a language difference, or industry difference. We get that a lot. We actually have clients that specifically request, can you teach them language about banking or automotive?
Yes.
And we tailor our lessons to that specific thing. It's a very common request. Absolutely.
So you're teaching them like German, but you're teaching them like automotive engineering terms, like phrasing in. Oh, that's fascinating. Because that's what you really need to know is like, well, okay, I need to know like basic German where, you know, where's the bathroom? Hello, goodbye. But I also need to know what a widget's called.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about widgets all day.
It kind of goes to like, Ben, like you don't need to know, like if you were going into a new industry or like if it was a language, you might not need to know how to write it correctly or like put the period or spell it out correctly, but you need like to have these conversations and be interactive. So task-based learning or interest-based learning is really the thing. And that's where we kind of customize and come in on where, you know, we can teach obviously for them to pass a CFR test and get to a certain language lesson. Absolutely. But what it comes down to is what's going to keep them engaged, what's going to make them want to learn, and what do they need? And that's where we get this task and interest-based, and we can really narrow in on things like that.
And what, you said a CFR test? What is that?
So in language, this was new. So, okay. So this is interesting.
I'm learning so much right now.
And so did I. So let's kind of talk about mobility as we get into language. So as you know, I've been in mobility like 20 years and I thought I knew it, always on the RMC side, mostly like I worked with all the suppliers, all the different benefits. So language, yep, it's one of the benefits, X packet. I know what they do. You know, I know what global LT does. And then I got here and there's like this whole world of language that I knew nothing about. So the exciting thing was, and as you know, with mobility and what really keeps us like lifelong mobility people is it's ever changing, right? Like you can still learn stuff new every day in mobility. Yeah. Right? It's always changing. So that's been exciting. Like I've learned a lot. So Seaford scores it's on a language scale to show what your proficiency levels are in that language. So what is more common right now in mobility I've been seeing is immigration now is tying to language. And so like in Switzerland and in Germany, different like permanent residence immigration visas and things like that, you have to have a certain CFR score language for them to accept your visa and let you stay there. Yeah. So
I heard about this. I feel like I heard about this during Brexit too, that there was like an English language requirement, and like here in the US,
it may not be English. So like in Switzerland, you might have to speak French or German depending on where you're at and your nationality is, and immigration is now in tying with all of that.
So it's not just like a nice to have, it's a have to have
in some scenarios
to reside in this country. Because like here in the US, I mean, this is something that comes up all the time where, people say things like, well, you need to, learn how to speak English, right? There's a whole bunch of context that goes along with that. But it's actually a requirement in some countries. That to me was news just recently to me that I didn't actually know that it was required. So do you partner with a lot of immigration providers to help fulfill that requirement so they can get residency, or like how do you fold into that process?
Well, we partner with the RMCs, right? Our customers, because they work with immigration companies already. They're going to tell us whether the immigration company determined whether they need a certain testing to get their immigration, to get their visa. So the RMC lets us know, and then we have a whole process built around making sure they have the right teacher to teach the specific skill so they can pass that test. And then we also do things behind the scenes as far as tracking and helping them get the test set up in the country and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I want to learn more. I want to hear more about your journey as well. We got a comment here from my buddy, Brian Rivers over at First Tech Federal Credit Union, checking in. Hi, Ben and Heather. What's up, Brian? Hey, real quick, Stacy, can we run that link there? We're doing a promotion courtesy of First Tech Federal Credit Union. Big shout out to the people at First Tech. We're doing 8 weeks of giving. Where every week we're giving away 2 bottles of wine to 2 lucky winners. So if you want to register for it, I highly recommend you get free wine. I mean, hello, people, right? Go to loveandreload.com/community. Sign up. That's loveandreload.com/community. If for some reason the link's broken or it doesn't work, throw it in the comments. Tim will fix it. But it should work. Hit it up. We'll be drawing on Friday 2 bottles of wine. So please do that. I mean, it's free. And thanks again to Brian over at First Tech for that. So tell us a little bit, man, we got some great comments coming in. Leave those questions also in the comments, but tell me a little bit about your journey in mobility. You kind of hinted at it, but like, how did you get into this business?
Well, I think with like relocation or mobility, you just I just fell into it. I had no idea it existed. I was young.
What's your fall into it story? Because I'm always like super curious, like, tell me the story. Was it a newspaper advertisement? Like, what is your, like, did somebody just grab you by the shoulder and say, hey, you need to get in here and answer the phones because it's summertime and people are moving? Like, what happened?
So I was 20 years old, so seems like forever ago. And it was actually, my first experience was at a Century 21 office, and I worked in the referral department. So the relocation company sent us the referrals for home sale, real estate agents. And that was my first experience. I'm like, what is this? I have no idea what's going on. I was placing agents and kind of learned from there. Yeah. And after a year, one of my main clients was on site at Ford. And I got hired as an assistant to a relocation consultant on site at Ford through an RMC. And from there, worked my way up. So I went from assistant to a consultant, and was there for a while. And one of my unique skill sets or experiences, I have worked on site at a lot of clients. So I feel like I wear 2 caps, right? I have the relocation company cap when I was there, and then I had the corporate client cap, because I would sit in the same aisle as the HR people or the mobility people, or was with them face to face every day.
I'm always so fascinated by that dynamic, right? Because I've never had that experience, but I see it, right? Where people are embedded or on site, right? Places. And I'm always like, what is that dynamic like? Do you feel like a Ford employee? Do you feel like an RMC employee? do you like get invited to all the meetings or like not some of the meetings? Like, do you have to bring like extra pies for the potluck because you're also like a vendor? Like, how does that work? What's that dynamic like?
So it really depends on the client. Some obviously are more segregated, but I had a wonderful experience. I worked on site Delphi for 8 years, and they really treated me as one of their own. Obviously, I worked for the RMC. That was my employer. That's who I protected. But like, I went through green belt training with them. I got my green belt at Delphi because I went with their HR and we did a project on mobility.
Green belt, is that like Six Sigma?
Six Sigma.
Got it. Okay.
So they really took me in as one of theirs, even though I wasn't. And I would do things that were just Delphi related and maybe not even mobility related to help out the HR team when they needed help. And then, obviously program management was my main focus when I was there. So it really depends on the company, but I've been very lucky. Most of my on-site clients, they accept me as theirs. Like, we're partners. They don't treat me as an outsider.
Yeah, in like 8 years, I mean, of working next to somebody, like, you don't really think about like who's cutting their check versus. Weird question. Are the benefits the same? Like, I mean, you getting the same amount of time off? Like, are they getting like 4 weeks and like all that, like that 2 weeks around Christmas, that everybody in Detroit enjoys for some reason?
So I was lucky. Like, so obviously, Big Three automotive back in the day, 2 weeks shutdown in July all the time, right? Christmas, 2 weeks shutdown. They get
the time off is crazy here. I mean, in Detroit, yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. So I was lucky those weeks. Obviously, there was no office to go to. The office was closed. Back then, working from home wasn't as popular, right? It was like, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, like you could do a little, but not much. So I got a lot of extra time off. I got to enjoy it or work at home. Sometimes I would go to the office out of state during those times. Like I reported to an Ohio office. So I'd go down to Ohio for a few days during those breaks. So I'm still like in an office working, but yeah, I got to share some of those benefits.
So then how did you end up at Global LT? Like, what was that?
So before I got here, I was managing a team of international relocation consultants, really focused on immigration. I worked with who you had on your show not too long ago, Meryl and Lisa from GM.
Hold on, I think we got a Meryl sighting here.
Yeah.
Where's Meryl at? I think she's checking in with us. Hold on. There she is.
Hey, Meryl.
There's Meryl. Hey, Meryl, what's up?
No, she was one of my international assignment consultants before she was in her role. She worked for me. She was my superstar. Meryl's great. So yeah, so I, sometimes, Ben, it's about who you know, and I wasn't out there looking and I ran in. So interesting story. Ryan's wife was my assistant like 15 years ago. Ryan is relocation, my CEO, relocation all the way. His wife's a relocation consultant. He's been in relocation. They have a little mobility family we joke about. So when he was in Michigan looking for someone with mobility expert, his wife was like, "Oh, Heather Caton," which obviously is not my name anymore, but that's what everyone still sometimes associates me with.
Yeah.
And we connected, and it was right before the DRRC conference in Detroit, back in 2019, right? It was 2019.
Yeah, it was the Great Lakes, right?
The Great Lakes. Yeah.
The Great Lakes area.
So we connected there, and hey, history from there, and now I'm here. So it worked out well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I want to let's see here. We got a bunch of comments here real quick. Hey, leave your questions about language, about Relo, for Heather, and we will get to them. I want to just real quick hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Please, let's everybody know we are on. Jack says, bring language learning to the lives of relocating expats and their families. Learner centricity.
Yeah.
Look at Jack, so smart. He's making up words over here.
Yeah. No, we use that word around here all the time, actually. But really what that is like, before, when you thought about language or people thought about a language lesson, you were leaving your life and you were going to an office to meet an instructor to have a lesson, right? Mm-hmm. You had your hour lesson, you left your lesson, and you went back to your life. Well, why don't we bring language to your life? Why do you have to leave your life to learn language? You don't need to go sit in a boring little office with an instructor to learn language. Like, let's bring in experiences and bring it to your life. So we talk about it all the time at Global.
Are people learning languages just like out of boredom right now with COVID? Like, I hear all these like COVID hobbies people are picking up. I feel like it's the perfect time to learn a language so that when this thing's over, you can like hop on a plane and go to like Ibiza or something.
It's definitely the perfect time. So if anybody needs language lessons, just call me. We can take care of you. But no, what we found it was amazing for us and exciting for me as I came on to Global LT, because I came on and within 3 months, COVID was here, right? It was like, but we were in the middle of this awesome transformation anyways, like really looking at virtual, and we were able to pivot within a 60-day period and we had about 80% of our students who were doing face-to-face lessons and about 20 virtual, and literally flip it upside down. And we have now an average about 90% of our students virtual with about 10% face-to-face. Amazing. It was all hands on deck at our company. 1,600 students flipped from face-to-face to virtual within a 60-day. We did not have to interrupt their language lessons. And I give credit to my team. It was phenomenal.
I mean, it's like what the teacher-student dynamic is across the country, right? I mean, everybody flipped into the Zoom environment or the virtual environment. Let me ask you though, right? This is the question that inevitably comes up on almost every conversation I have, but what is the long-term impact of the virtualization or digitization of the service delivery? I mean, are you gonna, do you think it's gonna be 90-10 going forward? Like in a year from now, is it still gonna be 90-10? Does it ever go back to 80-20? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously no one knows, but I don't think it'll ever go back to 80-20, 80 face. I just know from personal experience, if I don't even talk language, like when I got to do a virtual doctor's appointment and not leave my house to get an antibiotic for a cold, like I will never make a in-person appointment for that again when I can do it 5 minutes from my house. So some of that convenience, like we're getting used to, we're getting spoiled. Now there's the other part, people want face-to-face. Yes, I'm missing being around people too. So I think it'll settle out and, maybe it'd be a 60-40, 70-30, but I think people are going to stick with virtual. I think a lot of people have gotten comfortable with some of the conveniences of being able to just click and be there. And we're creating some awesome new products and experiences around virtual that I think will keep them engaged. So I don't ever see it going back to 80-20.
I want to hear about some of those new products and services in this space, right? Because I think we always have to redefine kind of what we're doing here. We've got some great questions and comments. I'm going to ask you that question though. What are some of the new areas of opportunity you're seeing in the language space, and how are you guys addressing those with new products and services?
So similar, like Ben, things we do, and we're getting on virtual happy hours to have that interaction with people. We know people want interaction and they want an experience. So one thing Global LT had that I was an aha moment when I came over here before COVID was something called group outings. And as a manager before at an RMC, I did not understand them at all. And I was like, what do they have to do with language? I remember one time thinking like, oh no, our student can't do that, not even knowing what it meant. And so group outings was a language experience. It was a language lesson built around an experience. So for instance, let's say we had people who moved from Brazil here to Michigan, right? They had never been to an American baseball game. So what we do is we create this group outing with a language lesson based around terminology on baseball game in America. And then they get to implement it, experience it, and use that language right away. And they go to a baseball game with their instructor. So we would have groups from 20 to 40, sometimes 60 people, depending on the event and how many teachers we had to bring in, where the language lesson customized by us was built around these events. It could have been concerts, baseballs, museums. We can customize it by company. So to me, that was an aha moment when I first got here. I'm like, you guys are doing what? This is awesome.
I love that because it's immersive and it's social, and you're learning, like you're using like different types of intelligences and you're engaging your brain like in different ways, I mean, I love it. And then of course you have that social aspect, and then of course baseball, right? America's pastime, right? So you're doing like some cultural as well there.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Exactly. So what we did is we took that virtual, right? How we knew this was like an awesome thing, and how could we do it now in COVID environment? We can't meet in groups, and this is a global product. We do it in Germany, we do it in Shanghai, we do it all over these group outings, right? So we made a virtual experience based around a language lesson. One of our most popular is our cooking classes. People love to cook. So, and you really have to understand the language. They get a recipe or a grocery list ahead of time. They come prepared, they're cooking together. We had a French cooking class. Everyone was drinking wine, speaking French, having a great time, making a chocolate souffle. And so that
does sound awesome. Like I would just sign up for that just for the hell of it right now. Honestly, like French souffle, wine, like you had me.
But like you said, we have
Sounds like a
culture.
date night for me and my wife,
It could
honestly.
be a total date night, learn language and cook and have wine. But we broke it out even farther than that, depending on what students needs. Conversational practice groups where people can just get together and talk the language and not have that pressure, and the teacher can kind of like control the conversation and help. We have things such as yoga classes with language built in. Mommy and me groups, kid art classes. Like
And now you're teaching the babies, you're teaching the kids the language too.
Moms are stuck at home with these kids. Do a mommy and me class. You get to learn language. You get to learn nursery rhymes for your kid. So we took these group outings and just expanded and went virtual, and it's been very successful.
That is crazy. I love this. I love like redefining the art of the possible with this stuff. This is great. We got comments coming in. Oh, let's see here. She says, Ben, you should join a virtual experience. Yeah, I should join a virtual experience. Especially if you have like a French cooking thing. I'm in.
I can we have many links.
Hook me up. I want to come in. I'll teach people how to speak bad English. Meryl, I did it so fun.
Meryl did a wine tasting. We did a wine tasting French. Meryl joined. Yeah.
French wine tasting has date night written all over it. Ryan Kaifas says, we would love to have you in our virtual event, Ben. Ryan, what's up? Send me the link, dude. Let's do it. Let's do it. People are saying 100%. I guess I'm like really getting it. I'm like really doing this now.
You're going to be doing
it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's see here. Speaking of cooking, right? Vinny Valverde, if you need a Brazilian Portuguese, okay, cooking language person in Global Mobility, this is your guy right here. Vinny, I'm going to get you on the show. We're going to do our first ever live Love and Relo cooking show with you, okay. Vinny and Benny in the kitchen. Okay, I'm already workshopping titles here. He says, love languages. When I have some extra time, I want to learn my 5th language. Just not sure which one to choose.
Wow.
You know what? Everybody, quick poll. What language should Vinny Valverde learn? Let's throw it in the comments right now.
Which 5 does he know? We need to know which 5 he already knows.
Yes, that's great point. Vinny, which 5 do you already know? Or no, which 4 do you already know? I want to learn my.
Yeah, you want to learn that.
Which 4 do you already know, Vinny? That's your homework right now. And then I want to know, throw in a 5th language, and whichever one wins, whichever one has the most submissions, we're gonna make Vinny learn it. We're gonna like guilt him publicly or something. I don't know. We're gonna like do it until he learns it or something. I don't know. Vinny's an amazing person. He probably will too.
I see some comments here. Jesse Miller says he should learn Dutch. Vinny, do you know Dutch? We'll have to see.
Yeah, let's see. It's gonna be it's gonna be Zulu. Watch, I bet Zulu takes it. Vinny's gonna learn Zulu and be like, all right, well, no, here we are. Vinny says, I used to lead a Portuguese table in Colorado. We used to get about 30 to 40 people twice a month to practice Portuguese. It is amazing how interested people can be. I also met some lifelong friends. I need to start it here in Portland. But Vinny, you know what's cool is like if we do it virtually, it can be in Portland live, but let's be honest, I mean, we have COVID restrictions, but like it could be like 100 people on the internet. Like, oh man. Anybody else get excited about this? I'm getting like super excited.
You get excited about it here.
Yeah. So Vinny says he knows Portuguese, English, Spanish, and Italian.
See?
Okay. So it's got the Romance languages. Okay. So it would make sense to throw him another Romance language, like a Romanian or something. But like, you know, what's the French or something? You know, what's the fun in that? You know, let's throw him some Russian or something.
Yeah, like French seems too easy. He needs to challenge himself.
Yeah, he does. Vinny, you need to challenge yourself, Vinny. Okay, just kidding. Jessica says Dutch. Alan says German. This is Grace. This is great. People are asking if tacos come with some of these classes here.
Can we do
Spanish class? Can I get a tacos with a side of Spanish, please? Oh gosh, this is brilliant. People are saying Thai. Oh no, that's hard because now you're getting out of the alphabet, right? Now
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Janet's saying Japanese. Vinny's saying he's at a hankering for some Mandarin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Vinny.
Like French, yeah. Do Mandarin. Arabic. People are really challenging him. Arabic.
I think Mandarin would be challenging. Like that would be a good challenge. Heck yeah.
What do you think? Like, give me your just opinion on this. Like, what do you think if people said, Heather, I'm sure this happens all the time, right? People probably ask you all the time, like, Heather, like, I need to learn another language to be more, dynamic in business or from a career standpoint, or just like, from a practical standpoint, from a business standpoint. What is your recommendation?
Well, like they need to learn the language from scratch, or they have some of it and they just need to enhance what they know?
They need to learn it from scratch. Like, let's just assume just they
So
don't know.
my recommendation is you need instructor led, whether it's virtual or face-to-face. Just using an e-learning software is not enough for a couple of reasons, right? You don't have the accountability. Why is Weight Watcher so successful, right? Because you have to be accountable to somebody for your weight. Like that accountability to have that instructor.
What are you trying to say, Heather? You trying to give me Weight Watchers with a side of Mandarin? What are you doing?
So no, but it's true, like that extra accountability. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to get the e-learning software and I'm going to learn a language. And all the radio commercials and all the TV commercials are like, oh, get this and you're going to learn a language in no time. But what happens is people get excited, right? And they may do it for the first 30 days and then they don't do it again because it's just what happens. We get busy and it's a want, but if it's not a need, you just don't do it again. Yeah. Or even if it's a need, it's hard to stay self-motivated and stay on top of it. So my recommendation is always instructor-led. You need a trainer, an instructor to help reinforce. The e-learning software is a great companion, a great thing to have with instructor-led to reinforce what you learned and you can practice on your own, but you need that instructor.
Yeah, I think you're right. Not that Weight Watchers ever did anything for me. Jack says tacos with a side of Spanish sounds like a great virtual event. Yeah.
We may add that. We may have to add that back.
1000%. This is great. Look at this. We got a crepes event for French on 2/2. I mean, this is what's up. Yeah, throw some events. If you guys got links in there, if the Global LT fam is out there, go ahead and throw some links in here if you want to kind of promote some of these things. I think these are fun. They sound like, obviously we do this for a living, but let's be honest. I love when things like apply to everybody's daily life, right?
Yeah.
Janet Turner says, how do you find out about these events?
Yeah, we'll put a link in for sure. We'll get some information out. I know I see a few Global LT people, so I'm sure it's going to be popping in. I think I saw one link already. So it'll come up. So one thing I want to talk about a little bit about these virtual events, because they are exciting. And like you mentioned, it's not only language, but it's culture, right? So that's one of our newer products or newer thought process here at Global LT is culture. It's not a one-time thing. And a lot of us look at culture one-time benefit, right? They get a culture training, a half day or a full day or a 2-day, depending on what the company offers, and it's a one-time event. Why? Why shouldn't it be like a language benefit? And so what we did is when it comes to culture, they get that training, but they also get culture virtual events, 3 or 4 included in their package for the next year so they can apply what they learned in an experience. So they get the language, they get the culture. So it just adds, it gives a reinforcement like, yes, you had this training, you learned the culture, great, but let's experience it. Let's actually like that immersive learning and apply it immediately.
So are you doing cultural training as well?
Yeah, so Global LT is complete solution management. Again,
I didn't know that.
Yes. So we do language, culture, destination services, and translations. We're complete solution management here.
Oh, okay. Jack's got a great question. Jack, you always have great practical questions. Jack says, who else are your customers besides corporate mobility clients?
Yeah, this is a good question. So this was, I learned as well. So we do a lot of business on the L&D side, learning and development within corporations. So not related to mobility, it's related to employees, depending on what that need is. So we have.
Do you need to get that, Heather? Do you need to take that?
No, I haven't. I don't even know why it's ringing. I'm sorry. I took it off.
I just like to embarrass people.
Thanks.
Janet called me yesterday while I was on LOVE+RELO. Yeah.
So L&D is another area. And we're also looking at education. We do a lot of educational things as well, but L&D, learning and development within corporations, using language and culture to improve their employee benefits, improve their employees, especially when you have huge projects going on in other countries. We have a huge client over in the APAC region where they're going to be having 500 employees coming in and out the next 3 years, right? But when they get there, they're not going to be up to speed on language or culture. So it's like this intensive training for their employees. They're not a mobility benefit, but it's the L&D to get that project off. So besides mobility clients, we do a lot direct with corporates on the L&D side.
It's really fascinating. I love how it all works together. Let's see, we got people checking in here. Leave your questions and your comments for Heather. We will get to all of them. Kristen McLaughlin, hi Ben and Heather from Atlanta. What up, ATL? Dory, hi from sunny but cold Detroit. What's up, Dory? Dory's the one that suckered me onto the board there with DRRC. Just kidding. No, it was great. It was a great experience.
No, it was a lot of fun.
My dad, Tulsa here. What's up, Dad? Love you, man. Mary Lee, hello, Ben and Heather from Minnesota. Jenna, who was a former DRRC board member.
So Jenna's back in Michigan.
What? What?
I know. I just messaged her and see if we can catch up next week. Maybe do a Teams meeting or something and chat.
Jenna, I can't keep track of you. I ran into her randomly at the Portland Relocation Council. Like she's like bidding on a Kate Spade bag, and I'm like, Jenna, what's up? Like, what are you doing in Portland? You know, she's like, I live here now, and now she's back in. What's the tea on Jenna? Like,
I don't know the tea. We haven't connected yet.
What's the tea, Jenna? Leave the tea in the comments, Jenna. Just putting people on blast here. I just love it. That's a lot of love, though. Vinny's checking. Let's see here. Let's see. Any language, any place, any way.
That's what I did.
That's great. Fred Metzler checking in. I'm a driver here in Toadsuck, Arkansas. I'll teach you driver jargon. Oh, Fred, I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow, man. Mary Lee says, yes, language programs are important, not just for the assignee, but also the family to effectively transition into the host locations. Some countries even require it for assimilation. Yeah, what is some of the, like, you would say, like the maybe common misconceptions or ways that language and cultural training are misused by our corporate partners?
I would say they do it to check a box. So because, I mean, I come from the RMC side. I know language is at the bottom of the list, right? We have household goods, we have immigration, we have home sale. There's so many things that come above it, especially when we're looking at policies or cutting costs. Like those things are important. So what falls to the bottom is language, culture, or spousal assistance. Like those are the things that fall to the bottom, right? So I think they offer to check a box like, oh, I'm going to give them 25 hours of language because now I'm giving them language. I'm checking that box. But is 25 hours language going to get them anywhere or really get them to have a successful assignment?
4 years of Italian and I don't speak a lick of it, okay? No, 25 hours is not enough, okay?
Right. So I think that's like the biggest mistake is like the biggest thing I see is they're doing it to check a box, but not really give them the benefit.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that, especially from my cultural training friends. Alan says, yes, that's true. I had to do a German test as well when applying for my dual residence status. Yeah, Alan, I think your wife is German. But Alan's not. Let's see here. Shouting out First Tech Federal Credit Union, my favorite bank. Yeah, you give somebody a bottle of wine. You even just threaten to give somebody a bottle of wine. He's like, yeah, I'll switch banks. Yeah, no problem. What do I say? Vinny says, on-sites or any partner should be treated as an extension of the team. Yeah, for sure. Jack Jampel's plugging his next blog here on LinkedIn. Other side of the coin on the quote, I just fell into it. Mobility is probably the most used phraseology to start any story. I just fell into it.
For years, my friends had no idea what I did. I would try to explain to them. They're like, you do what? And I'm like, if you don't know, you don't know. It's like there's this whole industry nobody knows about.
Well, the worst thing is when you're working at a company and they don't know what you're doing, right? And they're like, wait, you do go like, oh, like, yeah, make sure you don't get arrested when you go work somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. Meryl says Heather's the best cheerleader, love her passion. Biased, but it's hashtag biased, but it's true. We got Sweden checking in. Let's see what's up, Lana. We got Jeanette checking in. Farsi is a wonderful language. People putting the link there to go check out that link.
Yeah,
we're offering nachos and mojitos. Now I feel like nachos are maybe Mexican and mojitos are maybe like a Cuban thing or something. I don't know. I mean, let's just get our cultural appropriation straight here. Accountability is so important, even if it's a friend or coworker. Ben and Heather, let's learn Mandarin together. Oh, now, Vinny, you're roping me into this. I see what you did, Vinny. I see what you did there. Oh, you're so funny. And Jenna says, quick adventure Seattle, back home in Detroit. I feel like there's more to the story, Jenna. Let me know. Boy. Vinny's last comment here. One wish for corporations. We all know that cultural training is super important, but it is an elective, to your point, Heather.
Yeah.
It should be mandated for all employees that are moving. In addition, it should be provided to global teams as well. Vinny, I'd like you to make your case for that. Like, is there like a specific case or something you could cite? And Jack, who I know will take the opposite end of this argument, not because he doesn't believe in it, but he says, listen, I got a budget, people.
Right.
What am I cutting to offer language and cultural training? So, Heather, I'm going to ask this question on behalf, because I think that's what my buddy Jack's going to do. What you worked at RMC, you kind of named like, okay, these are kind of the core benefits. What do you cut or where do you trim to make room for language and cultural training?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I think what the best approach is to look at a benefit that might support more than one thing. So like, for instance, like we have benefits that support language and culture at the same time. So maybe you don't have to cut, but there's a bundle that they can get both benefits. You know, it's hard because what do you cut? Immigration, household, you limit their weight on.
You can't cut immigration because they got to be there legally.
You can say, you know, household goods, you can limit their shipment, but that's never fun and doesn't always work anyways, right?
I mean, household goods, you can limit the shipment. You could limit maybe some of the bennies around it. You could scale back the storage and transit, you know, from 60 days, 30 days to maybe 0 days.
Yeah.
You could limit some of the packing. I mean, let me ask maybe more specifically. And Jack says I was just about to ask that question. See, Jack, yeah, I got you, buddy. Don't worry. But how much? I mean, how much do these benefits really costing? I mean, how much are we really having to trim in order to give somebody appropriate language training and cultural training, like ballpark? I'm not asking to hold your feet to fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because depending on the language, if it's face-to-face or virtual, I mean, it can so vary. Obviously, to learn English is going to be a different price point than to learn your German going to China and need to learn Mandarin. You know, like learning Mandarin and learning English, two completely different things, two different skill sets, two different instructors or trainers. It's hard. And it really depends on what the ultimate goal is. Are you trying to get to a certain level in language and do an immigration test, or are you just trying to make the assignment be successful? So
well, let's assume it's not to satisfy an immigration requirement, because then maybe it's mandatory. But let's assume it's just for the kind of squishy goal of having a successful assignment, right?
So
and being more effective.
So I would say you could probably get a good language program between 2,500 and 5,000, depending on what you're looking for.
And that person speaks the language, maybe
that would help make a successful assignment. They'd be integrated. They'd be able to speak the language at work. Would they be able to pass a CFR test? No, probably not. But
they could live life in a country. They could live life in another country.
They could go to the grocery store. They go to work, live comfortably.
You know, like I gotta tell you, like I'd pay 2,500 to $5,000 if I knew that, like, coming out of it, I would know a language and I could be conversant and like go to a country and like not feel like helpless.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, that just opens the world up to you when you know, like.
And it's a huge investment in your employee, not just, I mean, it's already a huge investment, mobility, right? But they come back and now you have someone that can speak this language, you know? So it's a good investment. And that's why we see a lot of companies on the L&D side making this investment in their employees as well, because even in a virtual world, they might not be going on assignments, but they're dealing with people all over the world. So if they can have the language and deal with their customers in another country, it's super important.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at like the CEOs and C-suite of these large companies and you go through their LinkedIn profile, like I would just like challenge people to do that. Like if there's a company you're really interested in, like go check out the CEO's background. I bet you they've got international experience. I bet you they've been on assignment running divisions in other countries, other continents, other regions. And in order to do that and be successful running a team of people where you're actually a leader in another country, you've got to speak the language. And I mean, I think it's almost like table stakes for being like a uber successful corporate leader. Let's see here. This is great. Some of these comments are fantastic. Keep them coming here. Rachel says, Vinny, you're 100% right. Culture training for global teams is so important. Let's stay on this just for a moment here.
I like Marilee's comment. I see.
Okay. Hey, you know what, Heather? You get to be the host today. You want to hear Marilee's comment? Let's read Marilee's. If organizations are really putting D&I as a priority and part of their strategy, cultural training should be considered a priority and not an option in a program.
So obviously this year we hear D&I all the time, right? That's the popular words, the popular, committees within corporations, what we're seeing education on. And one thing is we've been doing culture training, not just mobility, but many different topics within corporations. So D&I is one of them. We also do like sexual harassment or millennial training or working with different age groups. Like we do tons of different culture training for corporations. Super important. It's definitely something corporations should be looking at.
Yeah, that's really fast. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, and
Yeah.
and I want to get into that, and we're going to talk a lot about DE&I in February. In February, we are actually dedicating the whole month to spotlighting Black professionals in the global mobility space. So super excited to have those conversations in depth. Marilee, great point. Let's see here. People are bringing up, Catherine's kind of talking to my point. The worst feeling in the world is being in a country where you don't speak the language. I mean, that's my wife's fear. I'm always like playing, hey, why don't we go, move abroad, and be like those crazy expat home finders on HGTV or something, right? She's like, she's so afraid that she would go somewhere and not be able to speak the language. Totally get that. Vinny, let's kind of finish this thought here on the budget aspect, right? So Vinny says the budget is super important as a tangible number. Language and cultural training is not a tangible number, hard to measure the success of this benefit. However, a good way to measure is to somehow measure the employee team and their ability to better communicate and collaborate and make a more inclusive environment. Hashtag, I am a believer. I love it. But you're right, Vinny. I mean, why send somebody somewhere if they can't actually collaborate and communicate with the people that they're on the team with? Yeah. It almost kind of doesn't make sense. So now let's go back to it now. So you said $2,500 to $5,000. Let's assume it's on the. Let's just pick a number in there. Let's pick $3,500. That kind of
okay.
Right? So where do I trim? You work for RMCs, right? You know the full suite of services, right? So where do we trim $3,500 in a relocation budget for an assignee?
Maybe the miscellaneous allowance because it's not
the
way you want.
Yeah, so we take the MEA and say, instead of getting to choose where you spend it, we know that you're going to need to know language because you're going to have to talk to your team, and therefore it's required L&D, and you are now doing this. Yeah, I like it. I think for household goods, household goods is interesting because now you're talking about an international move. What's interesting is I wonder if people are going to be shipping household goods internationally less and less. And maybe because a lot of these assignments are I don't know, 9 months, 2 years, a few years, and maybe just kind of storing them in origin instead. Not a ton you can skimp there, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's really tough. But if it's a make or break critical thing for an assignment,
yeah, I mean, you're investing. Corporations, what they say, if a assignment is unsuccessful, it's like a $300,000 loss, right? So $5,000 to make that $300,000 assignment successful or not have that $300 loss. It's not.
Yeah,
not that much.
Exactly. It's like insurance for the assignment, right? Yeah. Here's a question. Does any company have it as a mandatory before going on assignment? Do you have clients or maybe I'll ask is what percentage or what portion of your clients require it before an international assignment?
A very small percentage. I think I know of maybe one client or that is it's required to start before they go. And that client has different benefits as far as there's so many hours they have to do pre-assignment and then so many hours they have to do post-assignment. So they start before they start their assignment and then they continue after. But most companies don't require it.
Well, and I think the key is they have to require it because
they have to stop looking at it as checking the box, right? Because then you're just wasting money. You're not actually using it for something that's actually needed. Don't check the box and give half a benefit that's not going to be successful.
For sure. Philip Leonard says large international legal firms would be a great lead source for language training.
Hey, sales guys, you listening? Are my guys on?
Salespeople, get with Philip. It sounds like he's got a bunch of future polyglots on his hands. Janet Turner, millennial training. Ben has given me plenty of that. Oh, Janet. I love you. All right, let's see here. Valerie, if a transfer is coming in for a work assignment, but the company does not have a language training, cultural training program, does Global LT offer packages to individuals?
Absolutely. We do private pay all the time. And we actually have like relocation mobility students who their company benefits have ended and they continue with us and they pay for their own lessons because they enjoy them so much. So, yep, we offer it to everybody.
And we have someone pretending to be Lisa Ewers here. Says my name isn't showing, but I'm not anonymous.
Hey, Lisa.
Can we fact check that? I'm not sure. Can we run a background on LinkedIn user? I'm just kidding. It's probably a privacy setting. That's funny. We'll just play with it anyway. Jack says, I truly believe it is important. However, you need hard data to be able to help us prove it's important, which has been the challenge. You know, Jack's got a great point, right? I mean, here these folks are in HR or talent or comp and ben or whatever, you know, and they're like, yeah, you know, I think, you know, it's really smart to do language and cultural, you know, before going to Germany. And the business is like, why? And they're like, well, because, you know, they need to talk to the people. And business is like, yeah, tell them to, you know, go on YouTube or something, right? Like, have you seen any good evidence or data around this, you know, to help empower our HR partners to make the case?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because on the mobility side and with the language benefit, there's corporations aren't requiring like testings or assessments to prove they've moved levels up, right? That's not, they're not looking for like on the L&D side and not mobility, but when they're doing L&D and they're offering it to their employees, they do assessment and testing throughout because they want to see the progression. They know that they're learning the language. They know where they're at. They can see it. On mobility, we don't do that. And I think some of it goes to the end result. They're not, a lot of corporations are checking the box and not trying to get to that end result, right? Like they're the end result to them. They're not asking for that data. They're just checking the box and giving language lessons. So we do, I could definitely, I don't have any stats off that I can just think of, but because it's hard to pinpoint what makes the assignment successful or not. We can track whether they learn language. We have systems and e-learning software. We can track culture and where their gaps were in the beginning of their assignment, now where their culture gaps are, and see, did we narrow in, did we narrow out? We have tools like that, but to track, like, did that culture training make that assignment successful, or that language, it's too hard. There's so many things going on in an assignment to determine which thing.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to tease out that one variable, right? But I mean, you could look at if you had access to the data. I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't have access to all the HR data and performance data for a company, right? They buy our service or they don't, and that's the end of the relationship. I mean, we don't have access to their people software. But you know, be an interesting study. It'd be an interesting study. I mean, and you could make this argument about all mobility benefits, right? You could run some sort of a longitudinal study to say over the last 5 years, looking at 1,000 assignees, you know, and here's all the benefits each one's received. Which one seems to have the highest correlation to success, and what is success? You know, they're still employed after 5 years.
Right.
They've been promoted. I mean, we can come up with what the success factors are, but it would be interesting. There's a real lack of rigorous academic research in this space. And we're all out here talking like, oh, my benefit's important. My benefits, everybody thinks their benefit's the most important benefit, right? That's what I've learned. People ask me what I've learned from doing this show. Everybody thinks their benefit's the most important benefit.
I know where I am on the food chain. I know we fall to the bottom. I think it's important, but I know where I'm at on the food chain.
But maybe it shouldn't be the bottom of the food chain, right? I mean, maybe spousal assistance is the bottom. I know I'm going to get like hate mail from Impact Group. I love you guys. But Janet Turner says, do you think spousal counseling is important? Asking for a friend.
See, what we like is our virtual events or our group outings include spouses. So not only do they get a spousal benefit, they get a culture benefit and a language all wrapped into one.
Yeah. Vinny says one way is to stop approving exceptions. Some of the exception requests are way more than the cost of cultural training, language training.
True.
Yeah, don't ship that dog. Teach them German. You know, so let's see how that goes over, right? You know. Philip Leonard says companies are able to manage the entire assignment process more effectively, efficiently, with minimal exceptions to the policy. You can make the 3,500 easily. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, for sure. Marilee, and we're going to get to a segment here in a minute. Marilee says, agree, Heather, providers like you provide so many different kinds of cultural training. Cultural training is not just preparing expats and families, but can be around helping global teams to work more effectively or helping a new plant manager learn the unique culture of a specific plant, so on. Awesome discussion about language and cultural training. I could talk about this for a lot longer now that I know there's mojitos involved. But we're going to play a game. Heather, you like playing games?
Yes.
Right, cool. I like playing games too. Okay, so we're going to play a game, and we are going to do a little top 5 here. Okay, and you have the opportunity to pick the category. Okay, and you're going to give me a top 5. And then I'm going to see how I feel about it.
Okay. So the topic I picked, are you going to say the topic or you want me? Oh, there it is right there.
Top 5 things Heather misses most about being a kid. Oh, this is fun.
This is fun. So my house is crazy. I have lots of kids. I have my own kids. I have bonus kids. Like, it's always crazy at my house. So, so number 5, playing so hard, I got dirty and I didn't care.
Oh my gosh.
Like you'd be dirty. Like my toddler is a mess. She does not care.
I love this one. I never get dirty anymore. Like for me, like if I fall on the ground, it's a bad day. Like back in the day, I lived on the ground. Like my jeans had grass stains in them from playing like touch football that turns to tackle football. And like if you're not dirty, you're not doing something. But nowadays, yeah, you're right. Yeah, dirty. You got to get dirty.
Yeah.
That's great. Good one. I like it. Number 4.
So for me with school, like I'm chatty. Like I loved school and my friends were at school. Like when I went to school, we didn't have cell phones. It wasn't all virtual where we talked to our friends all day. So school was like the social hour, like or social day. So I miss school. Like, yeah.
Isn't it funny? Because like when you're in school, I don't know about you. I mean, maybe you liked it all along, but I mean, when I was in school, like, I don't know, like I didn't really want to go to school. And now I'm out of school and I'm like, man, I wish I was in school, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number 3.
Being super amazed and excited about everything, the little things. So the other day, for the first time, because everything's been closed, I was able to take my toddler to Zap Zone. And we're safe. We wore the mask and everything. She walked in the door and saw the lights blinking. She's never seen it before. She's 2.5. She's like, it was the most, she got all excited. She started jumping, like most amazing thing. I wish things made me that excited, like just amazed by something so simple.
You know what? I got a 2.5-year-old also, right? And like the exclamations and the gasps of just, you're right. Like, oh my goodness, and the fact they'll dance in front of the TV. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Number 2.
So number 2 and 1 was hard. So not having to decide what is for dinner. Like as an adult, this is the worst thing every day to decide, like, what am I going to make for dinner today? And then you ask your spouse or partner, what do you want for dinner? I don't care. What do you want? I hate deciding what's for dinner. So the fact when you're a kid, you just show up and you eat dinner. Like I want to just show up and eat dinner. I don't want to decide.
Every day about this time, I'm panic stricken. I don't know what's for dinner. Okay. Like I'm leaving it up to some skinny person upstairs hands to figure out what I'm going to eat. And it just gives me agita. Dinner troubles for sure. Whereas back in the day, you were probably outside getting dirty,
right?
And now you're like figuring out what's for dinner.
Yeah.
For sure. So Heather, I got to ask you, what's for dinner?
Tonight, I'm not cooking. I sent a message to my husband. I'm working late, so you have to figure out dinner. I don't know. I don't know what's for dinner. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah, nice. Brings you joy. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see here. Couldn't agree more. People are all over this. All right, number 1.
This is the best. Naps. Come on, nap time. When you were a kid, you did not appreciate nap time.
No, you fought the nap.
No, but now that I'm adult, I want naps. Like I don't get them, but I dream like, oh, wouldn't that be nice to take a nap?
There's a saying, right? Youth is wasted on the young. Naps are also wasted on the young, right? Let's be honest. We make our kids sleep because we want naps.
Yeah.
Like, and we can't nap if they're not napping. So like, you need a nap. Well, that's how you need a nap. So I get a nap. My wife still naps. Actually, she naps. So when I'm doing Love and Relo, that's nap time in my house.
Nice.
So at 3:30, the 2-year-old goes down. My wife sleeps on the couch. She turns on some YouTube Kids, and my son just watches YouTube Kids for like an hour and a half, and my wife still gets nap time. In fact, if I call her between the hours of 2 and 5 when I was actually in the office, she'd like sound real groggy, and I'm like, it's nap time. She's like, yes, what do you want? Let me go. Ryan says, oh, I still get naps. That's because Ryan's got that office with the door that closes. He's in there sleeping. That door's closed, he's sleeping.
He has toddlers too. He has 3-year-old twins, so his house is pretty as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fantastic. This has been a blast. I've really enjoyed talking about language and cultural training with you and Heather, just seeing you, because I'm used to seeing you at the DRC events and some of the happy hours. And Heather, for the record, has the best Zoom background ever. But I want to give you an opportunity to just kind of leave us with a final thought. What should we be thinking about, Heather?
I just think right now the biggest thing to be thinking about is, I mean, I'm glad we get on here and I'm glad to see you and we get to talk about work and what we do in our industry and love people. But after the last year, like, our job's our job, our family and our home is our family and a home. And that's what appreciate your family, appreciate your home. And it's great that we have jobs we love and we have great people in the industry, but the most important thing is family. So I just leave it with that thought. Like, I love relocation, but I love my family.
Yeah, for sure. For real. That's a wonderful thought. And thank you, everybody that tuned in. Thanks for all of the comments and the questions. I love you guys out there. Honestly, this show would be nothing without you. So the fact that you tune in every day and leave your comments and your questions mean the absolute world to me. And I know they do to Heather as well. Hit that little applause button, that little green applause button there for Heather. She did a wonderful job today. Heather, I can't wait to see you in person. And tune in tomorrow if you're watching, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. GMT, and we're going to hear from Fred Metzler, the biggest mouth in moving, is going to be on tomorrow. Okay, he's a bit of a nut, so who knows what's going to happen? Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. So he's going to give the driver's perspective from the curb there, and I guarantee you're going to learn something then as well.
Do you have the bleep button?
No, I don't got the bleep button. You know what? I don't give a damn. It's the internet. We can say whatever we want. And you know what? I work for myself too, so I can't get fired. This is amazing. Hold on, people. Heather, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.